here with Carlo Enriquez, still repping, and we need to understand the political process. One of the things that you said in the meeting today, Citizens Campaign, was that citizens need to be empowered and need to mobilize themselves and stop waiting for their politician to work on their behalf, because it hasn't worked so far.
Right.
So really quickly, you mentioned something, and we had so much noise and so much feedback in the meeting, but I want you to go through like how the political process takes place and how we think that our votes matter, but essentially behind the scenes, what it really looks like.
Right. So, there's a job that we elect people to do, and that is to, so on the city council level, we elect them to bring us services, connect us to city services, file home rule petitions and ordinances that govern our daily life, and advocate for us on different things like development, for housing, education, and making sure policies are serving our communities and our interests. So you elect that person to do that, but within that mechanism, there have to be 7 votes for them to move something, or there has to be a political will behind them to push it. Otherwise, you're just depending on one person. So the idea today was about empowering the community and creating an infrastructure that leans on those policies regardless of who the elected official is, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, whether they're active and they're engaged in the community or they're not and they're only engaged in us around re-election, that the community takes it upon themselves. And the model is, if we have 30 people in the room like we did today and they all contact 20 people, we've gone from 30 to 600. And now if you get that 600 people to contact 10 people, we've gone from 600 to 6,000. And 6,000 people make a lot of noise, even if it's just a phone call, even if it's just a tweet. We had the brother in the meeting described that if 1,200 people tweet at the same time with a hashtag, that it makes it go viral and it trends. So then an elected official, whether it's the mayor, the governor, or a city councilor, has to respond to it. So creating that kind of political pressure and getting that knowledge out in the community is important. And it's important that those of us that have time to come to community meetings and do this work are connecting with those of us that can't and not just leaving them to their own. So if a working family works 2 jobs and, they don't have time to be part of the neighborhood association, they don't have time to go to every community meeting, then we get the information and we either email them, and let's not assume that we all have emails and internet access in our poor communities, that we take the time to knock on their door and give them a flyer that gives them some information as well.
Okay, so, one of the things that you said in the meeting as well that I would really like for the viewers to get is the back, like behind the scenes. They usually will make a comment, what did you say verbatim?
Right, about whether a bill passes or not.
Yeah.
That part. So, people will talk about, so let's say I'm a former state rep and I propose a bill that I want to pass that'll help my community. What ideally people think happens is that I propose the bill, it goes to committee, the committee votes on it, and then it goes to the floor of the House, and the House gets to vote on it, and it becomes a law. That's how they explain it in your history books. That's how I explain it in your civics class, if you had civics class, but we don't in BPS anymore. But what really happens is I propose a law. Let's say, no, I won't say I propose a law. Representative Holmes has a law that he proposed this year that would decertify police officers that were found guilty of crimes in other states so that they couldn't just transfer into Boston and become a Boston police officer. The same thing that would happen to a lawyer being disbarred, a doctor losing their license, a barber losing their license,
a real estate agent
losing their license. The police officer would lose their license to practice law enforcement, which would be a good bill. This bill is in the House, and the problem with it is, instead of it just going to committee and being voted, it's been sent to study. Sent to study is language for see you again next year, kid. We're not hearing that right now. So now, while Rep. Holmes and a couple other colleagues have done good by proposing this bill, where we dropped the ball is that information needs to come to the community, so that while we're getting riled up about seeing police officers commit crimes on the internet on almost a weekly basis, every 28 hours, an unarmed black man or a black man being killed, we have something right here at home in Massachusetts that would address that, or hopefully prevent that happening more often than it already has here in Boston. So we need that information to get out of the State House and into our communities in an organized fashion so that we can then respond to it. And that's what this meeting was about, is building that infrastructure so that 30 connect with 20 and build that 600, 600 gets 6,000. Now there's 6,000 of us that know about that bill and that want that bill to come to committee and want that bill to pass. And we make a lot more noise than just one state rep. So that's the kind of infrastructure we have to build if we're going to be successful. Otherwise, we're just going to keep spinning our wheels and hope that 1 or 13 or 5 people can lead us out of this, and that's not the way it works.
And so it's really the citizens campaign.
It's really about making the citizen the candidate, not making their neighborhood the candidate, about empowering them. So regardless of who the mayor is, who the city councilor is, who the state rep is, who the state senator is, the community owns the power. Because at any time, 6,000 can turn around and say, you're not doing your job, or you're doing a good job, or we support you, or we support this. And that, the power being in the 6,000 or the 60,000 that live in Dorchester and Roxbury, or the 100,000 that live in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan, is much more important than 13 city councilors or 18 state reps and senators. And that's where the power should be, and that's what we're working to make sure happens.
Absolutely. So last question, because I don't want to bore people, because no one really cares about politics now, do they?
Right.
You said that this is a fail-proof model, that regardless of the issue, regardless of the neighborhood or the area, because right now we got V from Tennessee watching. We also have Corey in New York watching. So we have people, we have Darlene in New Hampshire watching. So as far as like having it be fail-proof, what is the model?
It's a proven method. It's a campaign model. It's the model that elected officials use on us every single year to get elected. So it's using the same way they will contact you to ask for your vote, to ask for your money, to ask for you to come out on election day. We're just turning that process around and making the person in the community the candidate. So the power lays in the community and not with that one person. So in a political campaign, you have a ward captain, a block captain, a precinct captain, someone that organizes the phone calls, someone that gets the people in the church organized. So we're doing the same thing, but not around one person, but around everybody. So it's just reversing that process and making it work for us rather than working for one representative of us.
Okay, so the individuals that are currently watching out of state that are unable to attend our meetings and learn how to,
they live in a neighborhood, and their neighborhood is governed by wards and precincts. They might have a neighborhood association they can start out in. They might know the people on their block because they grew up there. That is their constituency, right? And then it grows out where they have social media. They're on social media, of course. So they can share information via their social networks on what the issue is, on when to vote for a bill, on who they should support. And that's the kind of network building that a campaign, whether it's Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, or the other guy with whose name I won't even say, like that's how they're organizing. They start out in a town, and that town goes into a state, they go into a caucus, and that's the building that takes place. And you can go from, it starts out in your block, but it ends up nationwide, depending on how big your circle is.
And you are?
I'm Carlos Enriquez, and I'm still repping. And some of the information I'm sharing on my website, stillrepping.com. So I hope that you'll either join us at a meeting or take a look at the site and continue to be engaged in your own community for your own good, for your family's good, for your community's good.
And what is Still Repping?
Stillrepping.com is just a website where I'm really breaking down politics in a manner that we can understand it the way we talk about it in the barbershop or on the corner in our neighborhood.
Okay.
A lot of times we put it in big fancy language. I want to give it to people simple and straight.
So Brendan just asked, Taylor, where can I look for a schedule of meetings? Now, one of the things that somebody in the meeting said was, there is a communication deficit when it comes from the state house or city hall or elected officials down to the community. There is a communication deficit. So how can we, find out this information? Because like you said, they come to us on our doorstep when they want our vote, but
it'd be nice if they came to us other times too. So the next meeting around this information, we're asking people to replicate it on their own, but the next big meeting will be same place, Bruce Bowling Building on November 5th. In the meantime, if you want to send me an email at what's the best email I can give you? There's so many of them. Vote for Carlos, all spelled out. voteforcarlos@gmail.com is the old email of mine, but I still check it. And I will plug you into our database to make sure that you can get a list of meetings and are invited as we go along. So please use that again. It's voteforcarlos@gmail.com.
Vote for Carlos. I am Taylor Andre. If you don't know your elected officials, if you don't know who is, I know my hair looks crazy, y'all. If you don't know who represents you, you can go to TaylorAndre@gmail. I have a big ass purple button that says vote. And you put in your address and it tells you who your president is, who your attorney general is, and who represents you in your district, in your city, in your town.
And then have them take that and put that on your page so your people can look it up too.
I'll definitely have to do that. Oh,
outside by a few people, so we need to get them out there. Listen, if you all missed this, there's another opportunity. November 5th, we'll be in touch. Stay in touch with this one here.
Thank you, Taylor.
Love you and appreciate you. Hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope I have a better hair day.
They said you